tiny cackle. I giggle. Or babies laugh. Whatever the type of laughter.
WADR 94.9 FM is for you.
It's for you.
Good afternoon and welcome to the third edition of WADR's live coverage of the 2023 presidential runoff elections in Liberia. We are also live on Voice of Liberia FM 104.1 in Monrovia, Voice of Liberia FM 89.7 in Kakata, and Voice of Liberia FM 90.7 in Bangabong County. I'm Abdullah Hassan, and for the next hour, we will engage correspondents in Monrovia, Grand Bassa, and Musrado counties about the voting process there. Well, as a reminder, today is a rerun organized by Liberia's National Electoral Commission, NEC, was necessitated by the failure of the 20 presidential candidate during the October 10 elections to secure the 50+1 vote, as stipulated by the electoral umpire for an outright win. Football icon WEN 57 led the first round in October, gaining 43.83% of the vote, and opposition leader Boakai had 43.44%. Boakai, 78, is a political veteran who from 2006 to 2018 was a deputy to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Africa's first elected female head of state. Analysts say the thin margin of vote between them, just 7,126 votes out of almost 2 million votes, and the absence of a strong third candidate means the round will also be very competitive. And from previous editions of our broadcast, indeed we did hear voters say that, of course, they are there to cast their votes, exercise their right, and you can never tell who the majority of vote from today's rerun will go to. However, the 2023 election has been a rematch of the vote in 2017 when we won with over 61%. This is the country's fourth post-war presidential election, but the first one without the presence of the United Nations mission, which previously provided support to the country's elections commission. Some voters have become disenchanted with WEA's performance, particularly on corruption, high rate of youth unemployment, food inflation, and general economic hardship. He fired his chief of staff and two other senior officials after the United States imposed sanctions on them for corruption. Ruling party supporters say a new law in July 2022 granting the Anti-Corruption Commission prosecutorial power is evidence of the administration's fight against corruption. However, opponents point out that two of the officials sanctioned by the U.S. in 2022 ran for parliamentary seats on the platform of the ruling party CDC, where has blamed the coronavirus for his part, has blamed the coronavirus pandemic and the consequences of the Russia-Ukraine war for failure to deliver on economic targets. The removal of subsidy on rice, a major staple in the country, led to a subsequent increase in its price, and opposition-led protests in December 2022. But even before then, a 2019 wage harmonization exercise reduced the salaries of government employees. But still, despite these challenges or complaints, Ware had this to say after casting his vote.
Well, I don't want to say that we're reluctant because up to 6 o'clock, people will be voting. So some people know the time they're going to vote. Like me, 10 o'clock, I'm supposed to be here, and I'm here. So maybe someone want to be here by 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So we just hope that they come to exercise the franchise so that
Mr. President, this is Ariel TV.
that was going to be
The NEC will now resort
to
Oh, strongly apologize for the audio quality level. That's because where the incumbent was at the time after casting his vote was very, very crowded. Now, he did say that he is confident that he will win the vote, and some of the allegations leveled against him were incorrect. Now, but for many political watchers in the South region, Liberia's 10 October elections marked a significant milestone for the fledgling democracy. They were the first general elections managed entirely by the government since the end of the Civil War in 2003. External actors managed various aspects of previous polls, notably the United Nations mission in Liberia, which provided security in all post-war general elections except the most recent one. Well, right now, reports reaching us say a new trend, which never really happened in Liberia, which will constitute electoral irregularities, has taken place. Joining us from Monrovia is WADR's Darlington Popper for more updates. Darlington, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to everybody listening to the broadcast.
Very well. Thank you for joining this edition of our broadcast. Darlington, tell us, something new really happened today. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, you are quite correct. This morning we got reports that there were some individuals arrested around Monrovia at some polling centers with reportedly with pre-marked ballot papers in favor of the incumbent President George Weah. So we tried to verify some of the information. We were unable to see some of the ballot papers. The purported ballot papers are reportedly arrested. So we drove over to the Nukutan area outside Monrovia, where we observed a few of the ballot papers. So immediately we tried contacting the National Elections Commission chairperson, and she actually denied the information. Actually, what some of the guys actually succeeded in doing was that they went to a printing press and they got sample, because before the printing of the original ballot papers, the National Elections Commission printed sample ballot papers for political parties to see, so that they can use the sample ballot papers to be able to educate their voters on how to mark the ballot, during the voting day on today. So they saw the sample ballot papers. Some Liberians decided to, because of some political reasons or best reason known to themselves, they decided to use the same sample ballot papers. They went to a printing press and they printed exactly the same ballot papers just as it is. They printed the same ballot papers, and they use the electronic marking system. They mark everything in favor of the incumbent President George Weah. So all the ballot papers we saw were all marked President George Weah, President George Weah. So they put that on the social media, and then they went to some polling centers. They had it in plastic bags where they dumped it there, and then they said, oh, they tried to pre-mark some ballot papers in favor of the regime. So it actually created some serious tension today across Monrovia. There was a serious pandemonium, especially outside Monrovia, where there was a serious tension at one of the polling centers where security forces had to intervene immediately. When NEC officials went in to authenticate the ballot papers, the purported ballot papers that were actually pre-marked for President George Weah. So they start to educate the voter that indeed we are not using marker to mark ballot papers here. And if you see the samples of what the guys have on the social media, they actually use marker or electronic marking system to mark. If you were to go to vote today, you have an ink pen to mark your ballot paper. So they try to sensitize the voters. But you know, Liberia being a society where majority of the population, the reading situation, the understanding is somehow difficult, the news has gone widespread. Some media institutions took it and they start to give it out to people. So there was a widespread news in Monrovia. The chairperson of the commission had to go on the public radio where she called on the public to be calm and trust the Elections Commission. They are going to do their best with the presence of political parties observers and the international observers, but this election will actually going to be credible, and the will of the voters will be, at the end of the day, will be made public to the Liberian people. So she denied that. She said, actually, some Liberians decided to do all of evilness, maybe to create panic in the country.
Yes, Darlington, I know at a time when the samples were presented, you actually reported on that. And I wanted to just confirm, right? First off, NEC said that the company contracted to print the ballot papers was in Ghana or one of the countries. So were the political parties given a sample of it to take to their party members, or it was just a mere presentation at a conference and somehow it escaped?
So what happened was that the Elections Commission did a sample of the ballot papers, and they presented, even the Elections Commission has the same samples ballot papers, doing their voter education awareness, informing people how to mark the ballot papers so that they can reduce the number of invalid votes. So those ballot papers have been circulating in the public. So some political actors too have seen the ballot papers, and they know this election is actually between two people. You have two candidates. The first person is Ambassador Joseph Yuma Pwaka of the Opposition Unity Party. And next, number two, yes, is the ruling coalition for democratic change, President George Weah. So it's just easy to design it. So, and then the Elections Commission had earlier on informed us that the presidential ballot papers would be actually printed in red. So because they had the color already, so they went to a printing press, a local printing press, and they just designed it, and they have the graphic designer to do the design, and they printed bulk of it. So they have it put into the public. Some of the polling centers, what they did, they just put it into plastic bags, and then when they just dump it, and they were allowed to say, oh, we saw pre-marked ballot papers over there, people are doing ballot stuffing for X, Y, Z. So it actually created serious tension. And as we speak on yesterday, also some supporters of the government were arrested in local county on allegations that they had the same pre-marked ballot papers in their bags.
Exactly. So I was going to ask you, Darlington, how sure are we right now that across the 16 counties of Liberia that we don't have people, whether from the ruling opposition camps, with these fake ballot papers printed, stuff somewhere, and they're only waiting for the right time when collation begins for them to just go there and impute these fake printed papers already?
Exactly, and that is why the National Elections Commission Chairperson David Brown Lasana is calling on the media now to exercise some patriotism to be able to help the commission propagate the rightful information to the public, to be able to educate the people, because not many people, especially in rural Liberia, are aware of some of these ballot papers that have been pre-marked by some people just to maybe undermine the credibility of the electoral process. So she is appealing to the journalists, the media institution, to help the commission. They can be everywhere every time at the same time to be able to exhibit some level of professionalism to inform the public about some of these pre-marked ballot papers, sample ballot papers that were printed by some Liberians just to create tension in the country.
Darlington, it's very surprising that, the first batch of these fake printed ballot papers, were recovered in Monrovia. We recall October 10, the October 10 issue that occurred with some invalid votes amounting to over 100,000 was also from Monrovia. So is there a link between what happened then and today? Is it around the same polling booth or Moserado County, for instance?
No, it was not around the same polling booth. It was in the Broadville area, Oxford, Moserado County. Oxford, Monrovia. It's in the same Moserado, but it was Oxford, Monrovia. So they just had it there. And if you talk about the first round of voting, where you talk about maybe the huge number of invalid votes, and that is why some political parties, even the two candidates are contesting the elections, they decided to have some of these sample ballot papers printed and distributing it to the supporters to be able to sensitize the people on how to mark the ballot paper. But sadly, some Liberians decided to do it the other way around to create tension in the country by pre-marking some of the ballot papers and the sample ballot papers, making it to look that indeed that these are all pre-marked ballot papers in favor of a particular candidate. So the Electoral Commission is actually appealing to the public to be on the alert that this is actually not the doing of the National Elections Commission. And what she said was that the electoral process in Liberia will be for each of the ballot boxes. Before they can even close the ballot boxes at each of the polling centers, party agents will have to take the serious numbers of the ballot boxes. And before they can break the seal of the ballot boxes, after 6 o'clock today, before doing the collation process or the counting process, those same serious number of the seals will be read to political parties agents. Once it corresponds, they will have to break the seals and then try to dump the ballot papers, and they will have to check it if none of them, where you have party agents, international observers, local observers, and the media will also be screaming lies for most of the centers. So she asking the public to trust the system and give the Elections Commission a chance to perform its duty. And she said the election process will actually be credible up to the announcement of the official results.
Very well. Darlington, I want to go back on what you said just before I let you go. You actually said that the environment right now is kind of tense. Of course, we reported just over the weekend as the campaign activities came to an end. Well, we lost Darlington Popper there, but be very assured that we'll bring him back to end our discussion, because like he said, I guess this is the first time ever that this form of electoral irregularity has been recorded in Liberia. And just over the weekend, indeed, when campaign activities almost came to an end, there was a heavy sort of fighting or violence between the two major political parties, that is CDC of incumbent George Weah and Unity Party of the former vice president rather, Joseph Boakai. And both of them were accusing each other of attacking their party members. And this indeed is a crucial moment for Liberia, because from the start of today's broadcast, we brought to you voices of Liberians who all through pleaded that the process pass peacefully, because they are done with episodes of violence and conflict. Of course, the country suffered from a back-to-back civil war, and during that time, more than 250,000 people, including women and children, were killed. So a lot of voters had their expectations, and all they wanted was peace. Peace was all they asked for. Now, just before we go back to Liberia for more update, let's just bring you the voices of Liberians about their expectations just as the process today commenced.
I came here about 5:30 this morning.
What's your position on the queue?
I'm in the third place. Third position. The first round, it was the first round, so people were very eager to come because you have 3 ballots paper to mark, so people woke up early in the morning to come to their party. But the second round having to be only two candidates and 1 paper, so people taking their time to come. But I'm very, very sure that people will come gradually.
What exactly are you here? Why are you here this morning?
Yeah, I came this morning to vote. I am a Liberian, and I always want to be part of the process. So that's why I'm here early this morning, again to cast my vote and get back home.
What exactly will you be voting for?
Actually, I'm voting to see change in this country, to see peace that we have been enjoying for the past 12 or so many years, that the peace will continue. That's what I'm voting.
Better Liberian, the better situation in Liberia, I'm voting for, and my children's future, that's what I want to vote for. I am here to vote for.
Are you sure that your preferred candidate is going to win the election today?
Oh, showcase. My candidate is the Victoria.
How sure are you? You think he will win?
Oh, because of the preparation, because of the campaign we did. So we believe God that He will help us for our candidate to be Victoria.
If the Elections Commission announces the result, your candidate did not win, what will you do?
I will accept the result. Any result that come up, I will thank God for that. Any result. But I'm asking God to give me now opportunity for my candidate to win.
Come and vote, because even your candidate is not in the race, you have to come and vote. Between the 2 candidates, you choose who you want, you vote. I'll be voting for peace, because when you have a peace, you will have freedom to move. You will not have nobody embarrassing you. The only thing I can say to that person is, if even someone pick at you, you have to just leave it, because we all should be as one, as peaceful, reconcile, and move the country forward. That's all I gotta say.
You think with division, Liberia will be developed?
No. We have to be united to move this country as one. But when we be divided, it will not be fun for all.
Yeah. So for you, after casting your ballot, what next? Will you be here, or are you going home to listen to radio?
No, I'll be home. My main aim is to come and stay in the queue and go and cast my vote.
after that process, I go home and then sit. If time for radio to listen to result, I put my radio on and listen to my result.
Election for the 6 years that we are here for to vote is most significant. Because if you play with the 6 years, if you don't choose the rightful leader, it's a serious problem for the nation, even for you. So it's important we must find our leader. Yeah, it's the most significant to find our leader. Yeah. For the past leader, on many occasions, if they are in power, corruption have been the order of the day. And there are a lot of things, good security, good health, good education, and so forth. Therefore, I'm here to vote for the leader that will bring me a good education, quality education rather, and also a good security, and also free movement and good governance that I'm here for.
There you have it, voices of Liberians during the day talking about their expectations. Remember, we began the live coverage as early as 6:30 a.m. and between then and now we've come to you with updates. But if anything to go by, the submissions from most of the people who spoke is they want a change in government that will bring about an end to corruption. They want improved security, good and quality and affordable education. They talked about health and good governance. But all of this requirement, at least, will be contested should, well, there be a massive record of fraud, right? Like reported. Darlington was talking to us before he went off. But joining us now is Abraham Parker from Grand Bassa County. Abraham.
Yes, good afternoon from Liberia, Grand Bassa. It's great to be on.
Very good, Abraham. Tell us, there is a trend right now across Liberia, the reported discovery of fake printed ballot papers, and all of it CDC, the ruling camp or the ruling party. Has there been any of that report or confirmation, or at least speculation in Grand Bassa where you are?
Well, as part of that, there has been this rumor.
Mm-hmm.
There has been this rumor across the county that people believed to be supporters of the CDC were in possession of pre-marked ballot papers. That information came from compound number 3, that is in district number 4 in Grand Bassa. But as part of some verification exercise, it later turned out to be ballot papers that were being used, or sample ballot papers that were being used for a witness purpose. So that's how so far it turned out to be. And since that particular information came out, networkers along with state security have been able to put that under control. And the National Elections Commission headquarters in Monrovia did a release that they are not aware of anything of such. In fact, that allegation has been denied, repeated by the National Elections Commission. So the process is still on in Grand Bassa. Yes, a little bit of tension from party observers. So as per that particular information, it has been laid to rest.
Well, it has been laid to rest. I mean, that's your observation, and that's what the security operatives and the electoral staff are saying. But what's the general reaction like among the electorate? Many of them who almost passed the night at the polling stations just to make sure that they enjoy their civic right. In fact, one of the videos we got from you guys on the field, we had a man who is 88 years old. He still came out to make sure that he contributes to building or nurturing democracy in Liberia. And if at all this anything to go by, it means that that franchise, that right, is about being stolen. What's that reaction?
Yes, so far those who've turned out, they are expressed a statement that as part of their constitutional mandate given them by the Constitution of Liberia, which their right to vote. They were very happy to turn out to vote. So when you listen to Satila, he said he'd been voting for president since 1971. He was born in 1938, and then he is 88 years old. And he said he voted for about 8 presidents now. So coming out this time around to vote, it is now a strange thing to him. And in fact, he wants a better Liberia for his children's children. So it was the reason why he had to vote. All of the other voters we spoke with this morning and other past since we visited the polling places, yes, they saying that they want to vote for a prosperous Liberia.
Exactly.
Over the years, the issue there about corruption has been on the center stage, poor health care delivery in the country, the thing about poor education. Nevertheless, the current government has bragged up, said a lot about education, about the provision of tertiary education to be free across the country. Many university students or students from high school or going to the university will go free. Yes, that has been observed since 2018. But in the midst of that, Liberians, some portion of the citizens are saying that they need an improved education system. So one of the reasons why, in fact, they had to go to the pool today. But if you want to talk about the turnout, I'm telling you, the turnout is not impressive. Most of the polling staffers are on holiday. The truth must be told. Most of them are on holiday. From where I sit and viewing some of them, they are coming. In fact, they are coming in the polling the center itself. Some of them are just observing. I think they are waiting for people to come in. So that's how it has been so far since this morning. We've been from one end to another. Most of them are on holiday. So that's exactly for the turnout.
So very well, Abraham, just before I let you go, you talk about the turnout not being impressive. That was actually a fact that all of you actually mentioned or stated earlier in our broadcast, right? But, I mean, those who still remain on the queue, are they discouraged at the moment by what they've heard about the fake ballot papers being taken? I mean, somehow there's an allegation of irregularities. I mean, are these discouraged?
It is an allegation, and when these things during election time, most especially this process in Liberia, I tell you, it will be a very heated one because the first round of the elections, as per the Constitution, 50 plus 1, none of the 20 presidential candidates
made it
from political parties made it to having a 50 plus 1. So at a time where you have 2 political parties and 2 popular individuals, former vice president, we're talking about the former vice president, the country's former vice president, who served in that position for 12 years, and you have a sitting president. And then you have other political parties that did not make it to the runoff, defying their support. You have ACO, Lucini Camara, the presidential, the former presidential candidate of ACO is going up to the Unity Party, and then you have the vice running mate or the running mate to ACO going to the CDC. It has been a serious split in the rest of it. So amid these things happening, you will always see tension from the supporters. So yes, when these allegations are coming up, sometimes it discourages people from turning out. But those we've spoken with so far, they said they are not discouraged. In fact, it is their right, so they will come out. All they're hoping for is for the process to be peaceful and the shooting experience in a fireplace. So yes, they come in a little by little. It is after 3 in Liberia. So sometimes there is this thing that Liberian men like last minute of time. So, but they will come out. So as per the allegation ongoing around the country that the people were being arrested with pre-marked ballot papers, they are party agents. It will interest you to know that moving in communities to encourage people to come and vote. But the reception from these people are not encouraging. Sometimes you will go and tell, say, "Mama, you got to come." The person will tell you, say, "I don't have transportation." You say, "But I got means of transporting you," which is like motorbike. I will transport you to your area you registered. And then they will tell them, say, oh, since they are having eating, so I think I need to look for food. So it is one of the reasons why people are even staying away from the process. Some think they have the preconceived mind that an individual has already won the process, and it's just for a ceremonial stuff that you will see them turning out. With these allegations coming up, it has a serious influence on the electoral process.
It does, indeed.
And that's why, and that's why the National Elections Commission was very fast to come out, denying all allegations coming in against, saying that there were pre-marked ballot papers. So yes, the people who came, we spoke with them, they feel assaulted, and we told them, what's your message? They said they will go home and encourage those who haven't exercised their right to come out to vote.
So, Abraham, briefly, very briefly, what time are polls closing today?
Yeah, so normally the polls will close at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. in Liberia, the pool will close. So it opened at 8 o'clock this morning. And at 6 p.m., with the low turnout, I want to believe almost all of the areas will be closed.
So there might not necessarily be any need for the closing time to be extended. That's what you're saying.
No, normally when the time you have an extension is when you have people in the queue. When you have people in the queue, you have a large number in the queue, and that 6 o'clock reaches, you see the queue controller will come at the back of the last person. But with this situation that you have people just putting in one, and at 6 o'clock and no one is in a line, there will be no extension. Sometimes extension comes in when there is a potential violence taking place at the polling place.
Exactly.
And then you have the intervention of state security. And once that situation is placed under control, then you have an extension in the time. That can actually come from the authority of the National Elections Commission. But with the level of observation so far, I think it will just go at 6 o'clock. Those who will be in the queue at 6 will cast the ballot. But we talk about extension of time. The turnout is now impressive to have an extension.
Well then, thank you very much, Abraham Parker, all the way from Grand Bassa County. We'll connect with you again much later for the last edition of our broadcast to just know, what transpired, where you are, and when Liberia and, of course, the rest of West Africans following this broadcast will be expecting or should expect the final pronouncement of results by the National Electoral Commission.
Thank you. I'm posted.
Thank you very much, Abraham. Take care.